All right, so today we're looking at conditional probability, which we can look at with the Venn diagram or a two-way table. It's really about understanding what is the question asking you to do. So for this first part here, this is another thing that I would certainly have on my page of notes. Now what you can see is we're using this word given, okay? So the probability of A given B. What that's really saying is how many numbers or elements would there be in A and B, so that's your intersection, given the total for B. All right. Now it might make a bit more sense when I show it to you with a little bit of colouring in. So the number of elements in A and B, so that is your intersection, okay? So remember that's that middle bit there. All right, so that's that first bit. So we now know it's 2. So hence how we've gotten the 2 at the top of our fraction. So that's the first step. Then they're asking us, given B. So then it's the number of elements that are in B. That is including the 2 and the 5. So 2 plus 5 gets us that total of 7. So if you're going to use the table of values, two-way table, sorry. If you're going to use a two-way table, as you can see, it's the total for B. So it's the 2 plus the 5. If you're going to look just purely at the Venn diagram, you will need to remember that you're going to have to go 2 plus 5 because it's for B. All right, so that's probably the only thing when looking at a Venn diagram. All right, and that's how we get, and I'm just going to do this in that, and that's how we get the 7 at the bottom. Alrighty. Now what you've also probably noticed is that we now have a symbol that we use for the word given. So I wouldn't always write this word given. And the symbol that we use is literally this straight up line here. Okay, that indicates that word given. Alright, so there's another symbol that we need to remember. What happens if I reverse this? And then I say to you, okay, what's the probability of B given A? All right. Now we're looking still at our number of elements, which is the intersection of A and B. So the number at the top stays actually the same, which is 2. But now it's given A. So now you're looking at your total for A. So when we look at that, and let me just pick another colour. I'll go for the pink. Is the 6. All right. So now that's how I get my 6. So now you're looking down for the total for your A. So to get my total for A, it's the 4 plus the 2, which gets me the 6. So that's probably one area that I would probably just be a little bit aware of. But once you can see where I'm getting the numbers from, this is why I'm saying it will be good to put this on your notes. All right. But just as you can see, it's very simple once you see where the numbers are coming from, and that's all we're looking at. And this is what we call conditional probability, because we're setting some conditions. All right, so let's look at our example that we have on our next page. Oh no, it's on the same page. All right, so just down below, example number 6. Now we've got a Venn diagram to work with. And now I'm combining some of the work that we've already done with some of this new conditional probability that we've been working on. All right, so consider the following Venn diagram. Displaying the number of elements, find the following probabilities. Okay, so I know I want a probability. Brilliant. So for A, what's the probability of me getting A? Now notice they haven't used the word only. So we look at what's the probability of me getting an A? Well, it's the 3 plus the 2 over now my total, which is 9. Okay, 3 plus 2 obviously gets me 5 over 9. So can you see where I got the 3 and the 2 from? Because it's including that intersection, so that stuff that is in B as well as the A. That's the probability of A. All right. B, the probability of the A with the upside down U and B. Now the upside down U, remember that means intersection. So that's where the two circles overlap each other. You will need to know what these symbols mean, so it's good to get used to it. The overlap is the 2 over your total of 9. Brilliant. So these first two we've been practicing since I introduced Venn diagrams to you last term. For C, now it's the probability of A given B. Now if you just want to play by the rule of let's simply look at that B, all right? Always this first one, whether it's A or a B there, or any letter there, this is always going to be your intersection number, all right? That will always be that intersection number. It's the second letter you want to look at. Now, given B, which is the highlighted in yellow, we've got to go 2 plus 4. Our intersection is 2 at the top. So it's 2 over 6. All right? So let's see how this works for D. What's the probability of B given A? Now remember, from what I said to you at the question above, look at this letter, A, all right? Now go back to your Venn diagram. Look at it. It's a 3 and a 2 that is in my circle for A. So it's 3 plus 2 at the bottom. And remember this one, all I need is the intersection. That's the only number I need, which is going to be the exact same as what I've put at the top because the intersection is 2. So it's 2 over 5. And that is how I can simplify conditional probability for you. Brilliant. All right. So we've got another question that we need to work with. Example number 7. It's a bit more work involved in this. So a group of 15 hockey players. So my universal set or my total is 15. 13 played on the field. 7 sat on the bench. 5 both played and sat on the bench. A hockey player is chosen at random. Let A represent the person who played on the field and let B represent the person that sat on the bench. They want this represented in a two-way table. All right. Let's just stop there and let's think about our two-way table. Now for you, you might feel more comfortable putting this into a Venn diagram first. Personally, I prefer a Venn diagram, so I like to put it in the Venn diagram first. Now just bear in mind that they haven't used the word only in our wording in the question. We know that we have to have a total of 15 players, okay? Always put in your intersection. When they said 5 played both, 5 that did both, meaning they played and sat on the bench, that goes in the middle, okay? So 5 played and sat on the bench. Then we had 7 that sat on the bench. But that 7 also includes the 5 that played both. So how many only sat on the bench and did not play? Well, that was 2. Okay. We then go to the next one where we had 13 players on the field, okay, and we've had 5 that did both, but how many only played and did not sit on the bench? Well, there was 8 that only played. Did we have any that didn't participate at all, meaning they sat on the bench? No, we didn't. We had 0 on there. Alrighty, so if you now go 8 plus 5 plus 2, we get to the total of 15. So you check your numbers, make sure that they add up to that total of 15, then you know you're on a winner. So this could just be a little rough drawing for you if you feel more comfortable doing the Venn diagram first. Now normally in a test situation, we do provide the table for you if we ask for a two-way table, just to save a bit of time. So you do need to get used to how we actually set out a two-way table so that you know where to put the numbers in a test situation, okay? Because at least there's going to be that box there, that there. Just tidying this up. There we go. So now I've got my good little sketch of a two-way table. Now when I look back to my Venn diagram, it just helps me to put it into the table a little bit easier. So when I've got my intersection, which is my 5 here, that goes there. All right, so my intersection is there. Great. Then I go, well, how many only played in B? Well, that was 2. How many only played in A? Well, that was 8. And this is where your totals, the total for A, which includes the intersection, the total for B is 7. There was 0 players that sat who didn't play or sat out, and then there were 2 there. So I'm just totaling up, and that gets me my total of the 15. All right, let me see if I can do some highlighting here for you. So our 8 is our only there, and then we've got our 2, which is my only for B, and I'll just write over that so you can see it. And then we've got our 0, which is on the outside. All right, and then you can see the other totals that come up. Hopefully that helps you out. All right, so probably 2 or 3 marks for that table. So once you've done your two-way table, now they're asking us some of our probability questions. So now I can go back to what the questions further were asking. So find the probability that the person only sat on the bench, hence they've used the word only there. So the person who only sat on the bench, there was 2 out of 15. All right, so remember the B stood for the bench and A stood for playing. Then they asked for, and I should probably, I'm just going to write this with the notation because it might help you. So the probability of bench only, that was 2 over 15. Good. All right. Then for C, find the probability that the person only sat on the bench. Oop, there's my word given, that they played on the field. All right, so here's the notation. What's the probability the person sat on the bench? The person sat on the bench, that was represented by the B. Given, there's my line, straight up and down. So it's probability given A. All righty. Remember, look at that second letter. It's your A. So it's the 8 plus the 5. This one, look at your intersection. All right, the intersection number is 5. So we end up with 5 over 13. All right, hopefully getting the hang of this. The last question. Find the probability the person played on the field given that they sat on the bench. All right, so they've turned this around. So probability that the person played given they sat on the bench. So once again, look at the B. The A is all just for your intersection. Once again, it's going to be the same number as what I've just written in the question above. So it's 5. Now look at my B. So it's the intersection plus what the number is in B. 5 plus 2 gets me 7. So it's 5 over 7. And that's your conditional probability. All right. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit with this. And feel free to ask for help if you need it.